Sunday shows how Mark's got such a headache. I'm giving him a head massage. But never fear, this doesn't mean that you'll be short of anything in the show today.
No, if anything, once I'm done, I'll be able to edit the bloody thing.
So we've got, all food is just, it's a bit of a breakfast special. So it's all breakfast food.
Oh yeah, it's Nanny Di's birthday.
Yeah, she's 70 today, so we've got her in the garden doing her book review.
Yeah.
We'll get Teddy in the garden doing his Teddy talks.
We've got the girls doing their memes. We've got the dogs running around and Toffee forever guarding her esophagus.
And of course, once we've got rid of this headache, Mark's going to go and get the papers. So you'll have the papers too.
Oh, what is that?
We have deduced that the headache comes from the shoulders, from over Joe Wixing, over muscling, to now going to work on the shoulders. Tell them what's happening next.
Oh my God. Well, next up is the dogs.
Dogs.
The dogs being incredibly... Poor old Chi-Chi forever looks bemused by what's going on, and Toffee is becoming a monstrous guarder of her cage. So let's go and see what they're up to.
Johnny's supposed to be a tiny little woman doing this. I don't think I'm the sort of woman to walk on back.
Oh my God. Can you tell us about the food you're cooking for the first dish?
Oh, wow, this is gorgeous. I'm showing you how to cook the ultimate poached eggs and hash browns. I didn't put onions in because I didn't think Mark would want onions, but he said he missed the onions. So put an onion in with yours, it's nicer with an onion, and make sure you've got enough salt. Action. I said to Mark the other day, I said, we haven't really done anything for breakfasts on the No Name Sunday show, have we?
No.
So I thought I'd do a little breakfast. A couple of you were asking on a live the other day how to do a poached egg, how to do this, how to do that. So I'm going to show you today how to do the perfect poached egg with the perfect hash browns. Ooh. So I've got a little bit of a hangover today. So this is the sort of thing would be really nice if somebody made me, but no.
Why is it with people with hangovers that get all poor me?
Poor me.
Like everyone should feel sorry for them.
Poor me. 2 potatoes, 2 potatoes, 2 potatoes, 2 potatoes, 2 onions, if you wanted onions. I'm not putting onions in. I don't really like onions in the morning. I know lots of people do. Right, if you haven't got one of these, you can just do this on a box grater. Whenever I do a TV show and have to use one of these. Great. This is great.
Not very visual, is it?
God. Just can't get the staff, eh? Lovely grated potato. So now I'm going to, and a lot of recipes won't do this. Usually I would do it over in the sink to really rinse out the starch. See how the water is turning cloudy? Yeah, so we want to get that starch out and that will help them cook. I want to drain them. You might think, oh God, this is a bit faffy. It's not really. It's only a few minutes and it makes all the difference if you want something really lovely.
These are one of my favourite parts of the breakfast.
What, the hash browns?
Yeah.
Okay, so next bit, do you want to go over there, Mark? Because I'm going to put this out here. Detail. We want nice, crisp. Just wait, I'm just going to get rid of this water. We want nice, crisp hash browns, not soggy. And the key to that is cooking them in really good fat and getting all the water out you can. Sorry. Squeeze and squeeze some more. If I was making this in the evening to go with something like, you know, some chops or some chicken or something, I would definitely put onion in. You wouldn't like onion in the morning, would you, with your poached egg? Would you?
Well, I think I've often had it in hash browns. You don't feel it, do you really?
So you see, I really mean business. Alright, so we've got all the starch out and we've got nice dry potatoes. Let's have a look. Fabulous. Okay, so I'm just going to leave them for a few more minutes. It does, doesn't it? Exactly like cheese. So now I'm going to talk to you about clarified butter. Do you know what clarified butter is? Butter that's had all the fat burnt off. No, well, kind of, not burnt off, but you're separating the fat from the milk. Clarified butter doesn't burn. So you know when you melt butter and things can get a bit black and burnt, that's actually the milk in the butter. You can of course cook them in oil, and that's fine. But if you cook them in clarified butter, I'm going to start taking that froth off the top. Okay, so see that? The milk part of the butter.
Oh God, this is like the behaviour of a mad person. It really does. Are you serious?
And you'll see we'll be left with gorgeous. You can of course buy ghee or clarified butter. You can of course just fry your potato in oil, but we're going for here the ultimate reactions of that.
It strikes me as the kind of thing that's anathema to a hangover.
No, that's why I said, didn't I? Somebody else would have to make it for you.
Christ, you're damn right.
So say if your partner's got a horrible hangover this morning. You see what we've got? Almost completely yellow butter.
What happened there? Precision.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I like this sort of detail.
Oh dear.
It's alright, I did it into my elbow, folks.
You've set the dogs off. You've seen Toffee.
Beautiful clarified butter. Just in case anyone wanted to know how to make it, now you know how to make it. Okay, look at my lovely bowl.
That is beautiful.
We're going to put our potato back in the bowl.
Which at the moment to me is looking like cheese.
Yeah, you're going to have to eat this. You're going to have this for your breakfast. 2 tablespoons of flour. 2 eggs. And then egg. Oh, I love egg. Need some salt, plenty of it. Don't want insipid potato. Pepper, if you fancy it. And of course you can do all kinds of extra things if you want, like chilli and all of that. Add my eggs.
there'll be a real wow factor to this if this is within a sort of Sunday breakfast, right? You normally buy these frozen, don't you?
Oh! So my butter gathered by virgins from snow-capped mountains is now ready to go in. Don't you love these pots? I love them so much.
And now look at me in it. If you can see me, I can see you.
I can see you.
Yeah, tell us.
So, you just want to heat your butter up slowly. Don't whack the heat on full on. Put it on a low to medium heat so that it heats properly the fats. One of the biggest mistakes that people make that don't cook a lot and don't know a lot about cooking is that they just go, okay, heat full on, heat everything up. No, not good. These are the secrets to good frying.
I don't think anyone's ever given cooking instruction in a reflection of ghee.
So you see now how the bubbles are gathering, so it's probably going to be hot enough. Put the potato in, nice little sizzle all the way around. That is how you know it's ready, okay? So you want little bubbles all the way around the egg. I just added another tablespoon of flour. I think those eggs must have been bigger. That's what you want. You want it kind of sticking together. Spoonful. Really important to not move it around now because you want it to set. So don't be shoving it around your pan, just leave it. Just leave it to cook. So see, I'll just pat it down. You want all those little bits coming around the edge because they give us the nice crispy bits. There we go. I'm going to turn that down. Just on a low sizzle, 3 or 4 minutes, nice, low, steady heat. Even though I said don't fiddle, I can fiddle because it's set now. Can you see under there, Mark, how it's lovely light golden brown now?
Yeah.
And see how steadily the butter is cooking it all. Nothing's burning, nothing's spitting. That's why that clarified butter is so worth doing. Look, they're really set now in their shape. I think it's time to turn them over. They've been cooking for about 4 minutes. Nice and slow and steady. Oh, look at that. Do not want that heat too high so that they burn on the outside and they're raw in the middle. Heed my words. Turn them over.
They're like little splats of joy. Lattices.
That's the thing of great music.
Lattice work, isn't it?
And that butter just, you know, gently bubbling away, not giving us any hassle. It's not spitting, there's not a bit of smoke in here. And the potatoes are cooking really nicely and slowly. So you will get that lovely buttery, eggy, potatoey taste. Oh. All we want for a poached egg is the water just to be simmering, bubbling. Maybe just 1/4 teaspoon of vinegar, because that helps set the white. But the most important thing is, if you haven't got a fresh egg, your poached egg won't work. It's just as simple as that. You just boil them or scramble them.
What do you mean, fresh as in come out of a chicken's butt?
They have to be really fresh. And you might be sitting there going, well, how am I going to know if it's really fresh?
Yeah.
I bought them the day before yesterday. Is that fresh enough for a poached egg? So I've got a nifty little trick for you.
Ooh.
Big glass of water, egg, and gently put the egg in. And if it sinks to the bottom and lies horizontally, it's fresh enough to poach. I'm gonna break an egg into a cup because it's easier to get it into the water. You don't want it ferociously bubbling, that's too much. So we've got our vinegar in, and now what you do is create a swirl. So just stir round and round and round, and the reason for that is so that when you drop the egg in, the white swirls around the yellow. There you go.
It's like a vortex.
A vortex. Well, it's not a very big yolk. That's lovely, it's still turning round, look. So this egg is ready. So what is nice to do is just to snip off. Oh! This is what they do in restaurants and hotels when you think, oh my God, how did they get that egg so perfect? They just snip it off. Now, I'm just going to leave it there to drain while I do my second one. Woohoo! There we go. Drop the egg in, white first. First egg. Ooh, take those little bits. We don't want those bits. We're pretending we're in a hotel. So, second egg goes on. Oh, I love the smell of black pepper. I'm excited. I'm excited about this. Oh, nice crunchy salt. What do you think? Photo before I open it? Yay! Woohoo! What do you reckon?
That's it. That's it.
Look at that. Whoa. Oh God, guys, if I say so myself, I'm blooming perfect. It was a little bit faffy, but it's perfect. Where are we going now? Memes?
Yay.
Book review.
No, memes.
Memes.
You got it right.
Okay.
Your turn.
You on me? You on
Yeah,
the food?
go on.
Have you got us
I'm on
both
both
in?
of you. I'm on the
Yeah?
food
Have
and
tried
you.
You can move your body as well. Oh my God.
Good?
Absolutely delicious.
Oh, you see, I put love into it. As I was
Yeah.
cooking it, I was thinking of you eating it, and it makes all the
Divine,
difference.
isn't it?
That's the secret ingredient. Love.
So guys, it's Nanny Di's birthday. It's a special episode. She's coming in to do the memes, which means that she's got a birthday meme.
I'm meme free.
You're off the hook.
Free. I'm meme free. I'm meme free.
There she is, look.
There she is.
There's Nadia, still can't quite get over the fact that she's dodged a bullet.
Me.
She's dodged a bullet. So, Mum, you're in the hot seat. Look at me. How are you feeling?
I'm relatively optimistic.
I tell you what you should be feeling.
What?
Afraid.
Being very
afraid.
Okay.
When you're at a restaurant on your birthday and you see the waiters coming towards you clapping. So that's you seeing the waiters.
Coming towards you to sing happy birthday, you know
And
how
then-
they do in
Oh
restaurants.
yeah, quite funny.
And everybody dreads it.
And the girl's going, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it. I hope something better than that.
Pardon?
What? I hope they're better than that.
Bloody hell.
Me checking if everyone else is vibing with the song I put on.
Oh, that is... Oh.
Isn't that me as well? That's so like me.
It is so like you, yeah.
She's scared.
To make sure that everybody's listening to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean the dog?
Yeah.
The dog is like you. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's have another look.
I'm with Nadia now. I know what she's saying.
So like you. That's exactly. Are you enjoying this at this very point?
Look, you better be
Are
Yes,
you?
yes, very much.
You don't know what's going on, do you?
I thought it looked so easy from my house.
I've seen 0 people in the last 2 months and I'm somehow sick of everyone.
That's a good one. That is a good one. That sums up me. I
does it
understand
mean?
that. It means that, it means what it says, you stupid boy. What I don't understand is why that would be called a meme and not an epithet or something.
That's not so much a meme, that is
Oh.
more of like a...
Mum, you brought all sorts of English literature terms. Epithet.
Well, what's it? What epithet?
Epithet.
But what is an actual... Well, no, we can't get into a meme.
When you hit a spider and it runs under the bed.
That's very funny. No, I get that.
He's sleeping on the door.
That is very
That
good.
is funny. That
How
is
on
very
earth
funny.
did she do that? Yeah,
He.
okay, I get it. He.
This owner told her dog that she has to go out and this was his reaction.
Huskies make the weirdest noise.
Yeah.
That's you being told you can't go to New York. Sorry, isn't it?
Oh my God,
That's
that
the noise
is
you
so
made.
funny.
Girls will drive like this and say oopsie. Look, the car's flying off.
Oh.
Me, read a line from a paragraph, my brain, do it again.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Hold on.
That
Me,
one was-
read a line from a paragraph. My brain.
Do
You
that
know when you
again.
read a paragraph in a book and then sometimes your brain just immediately makes you read the same paragraph again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. Your brain just like, do it again.
Do you be like, yeah, but it's not
Do you
funny.
not do that? I don't think
funny,
Nanny Di
no.
does do that. Do you not read a line ever again?
Yeah, no, I do all the time, but I don't think that's funny. Isn't that just...
No, because it's like your brain saying
That's
do
your
it.
brain's
So your brain's
face.
just making you go do
That's
it
the
again.
face of
and
your
you
brain.
don't even-
Oh, it sounds like I'm not liking your one. I'm sorry. I like the husky.
Me hiding from alcohol.
Yeah, that's very funny. Very funny. Very funny.
Oh, I
Because he's
like
not
that.
hiding.
Yeah.
I like that. That's like you, Mum.
When you're in a presentation, someone says, I can't hear you. Should I kill myself or kill them?
Yeah, that's quite funny. Is he real or is he made a creature?
I can see my head on the camera.
Sorry.
He's
You're
a
so
puppet.
close to
Oh, he's a puppet. Okay. I can get Nadia's face now.
Let me see that one again.
Sitting in a house at 7 a.m. thinking you should have went home when you had the chance.
Oh, bless you. Oh, look.
Are you enjoying yourself? I can't tell you.
No, it's very funny.
We're getting up in the middle of the night to stare at my chair with clothes on it because it looks like a person.
Yeah, we've all done that.
This is how your girl sits on your bed the first time she comes over.
That's very funny.
That's very funny.
Oh my God. A lot of them involve dogs, don't
My
they?
review on life so far.
1 star. Very good.
What would you give 2020 out of 10?
2020 out of 10.
Oh God, minus something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me after 3 months of quarantine and having no social skills.
How do you feel? I'm feel. Good. I'm very feel. Are you ready to fight? Yeah. How do you feel? I'm feel.
I'm Phil.
I'm very feel. Are you ready to fight? Yeah. How do you feel? I'm feel.
Feel.
I'm very feel.
I'm very Phil.
I'm very feel.
Me, I'm going to get these grades and get my education. Also me watching the lights flicker in class.
Oh my God, yeah, that was me.
I'm not getting yours, Coop. I really don't get that.
He's looking
It's a strange face looking up.
at the lights
the
that are
lights,
flickering
yes.
after you've told yourself you're going to get good grades and a good education.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you're looking at the
Yeah,
flickering
okay.
lights.
Okay. Kiki's. This is the moment that Kiki gets really cross with her grandmother. I'm not getting them.
My
Okay.
mum, when I tell her I'm going to protest, you know, the Black
Yeah,
Lives Matter.
yeah.
Are you going? Tell me where? Where are you going? Where? You no think about it. Where to this? Where are you going?
Very funny. Very funny. Come on, show me a good one, Kiki. A good
Me,
one.
don't cook too much. I've already eaten. Grandma, okay, love, just a snack. Grandma.
That's very funny. That's very funny. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
You can't smoke here, me.
Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. I smoke my stogie anywhere I want. I don't have to find a hideout place like you. Because
Schwarzenegger's getting very, very funny in his old age.
I smoke
No,
my
it's
stogie
younger.
anywhere
I
I
was gonna
want.
say, it's
I don't
younger.
have to find a hideout place
Yeah, I was going to say,
like
that's
you.
very good for 100.
Because
This is a little laugh at the end.
I
Mark.
know, yeah.
Do your Arnie impersonation. It's so good when you do it.
I haven't got one.
Oh, it's me.
Do you?
Have you
Get to the chopper!
Yes.
No!
No. Have you seen the one where the donkey comes into the room and jumps
Yeah.
over the thing?
Yes.
Isn't that
Oh,
amazing?
no.
Bizarre.
It sort of jumps. Yeah, there's a white line and it jumps over it to get in.
Turn it towards me, isn't it?
My dad congratulating me for waking up early. Me at 6 a.m. grabbing a snack at the kitchen before going to bed. It's you.
Yeah, very funny, very funny, very funny. Get it? A meme is a complicated thing, isn't it? What do your subs think about memes generally?
I think they find them funny.
Is it split down age
A lot of
lines?
people don't get them over a certain age.
Do they call them something else? Do they say? No, never mind. It's too complicated.
Glenn Baxter cards were like.
Oh,
a meme.
Clem Baxter. Yeah, you've said that before. That means nothing.
My mum takes me to the doctor's office, 4-year-old me. Because 4-year-olds always just
towards me.
got so interested in playing these really stupid games. So it's like me going towards that at the doctor's office. I knew she wouldn't get it.
No, I sort of
My
get
mum
it.
takes me to the doctor's office, 4-year-old me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen 4-year-olds going for those, but Oh, he's not full.
Have you ever
Oh,
playing with
God.
those mum and dentist offices?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
When you want to take a nap, but the nap doesn't want to take you.
Yeah, that's good. Good line. It's a good line. Yeah, yes.
To laugh at it, not just say if it's good.
She's in a wind turbine
Really
of hell. You're just
saying.
saying yes rather than having a reaction.
I tell you what, my favourite ones are always the dogs. So far, my favourite one that we've seen is the husky lying on
Trying to
its side,
find an animal.
Yeah.
going,
That's not a
oh.
meme, really. It's a funny video.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But we've ended up just showing funny stuff.
Yeah,
We
we
just
just
call
showed
it
funny
memes.
shit.
Show me a pure meme.
Those are what
I've got a
I've
funny
shown
one
you.
of
I'll
mine.
change it. What should we call it? What should we call it instead of funny memes? Should we call it the teens?
Funny stuff.
That's what I'm going to call it.
Funny
Teens funny stuff. Who's next?
Why do you look so shocked?
Who did the fart? Hold on, let me have a drink and stop again.
That's all of mine.
I have one that's funny.
Okay, let's go for this last one, Mum. You can redeem yourself.
Funny stuff.
When someone sneezes next to you these days.
Very good. I get that.
That's a meme.
Oh, that's a meme.
Using something else to make something
it.
else funny.
Oh, yes. That's very funny. That's very funny. That's almost my favourite.
Let's hope there's not.
Oh, what you doing?
Oh my God.
Okay, guys, it's now newspaper headline time.
Kiki. Oh, Kiki.
God,
I can't do this.
lots of terrible news, as usual.
I just hope there's no coronavirus. You're squishing me to
Is
a
it
pulp.
helping though, Mark? Do you feel like it's releasing?
I feel like I'm a piece of paper.
Well, it's really sorting out my bad.
Newspapers. I've gone for a collar.
Very nice too.
Do you like it?
Little flecks of colour.
Yeah, like tutti frutti. All of the newspapers are leading with the stories of the race protests, as they're calling them now. I have to say, I think most of the photos make the far right look like total morons.
I know. I've got one here of a man urinating on PC Palmer's memorial where he was shot. I mean, just absolutely disgusting.
It's sort of shocking images of a chap in Bolton who you really wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of, just standing there and just sort of, just yelling. But lots and lots of the far right protesters being sort of ushered to safety by the Black Lives Matter.
I know. I've got a great photo here, actually. This guy is going to end up being in the movies. Look at him. Look at him and look at the shame on his face.
There's one chap.
He's going to get ribbed like...
The chap with the blood all over his face.
Oh, that's horrendous. Yeah, look.
Looks, he doesn't know what that was going on. And he's wet himself.
And he's wet himself.
I mean...
But what I didn't realise was that various football fan gangs that would usually fight each other all put their differences to one side and then build an alliance to all fight together. So the fact that they are in some way... this idea that in some way they are
an army
caring for our memorials and for our great British way is just a disgrace. These photos will go across the world and I just think it's embarrassing.
I want to know what poor homes these far right protesters have returned home to, because they can't all go down the pub at the moment and sort of pour over there. I hate to say it, but I think some of these images will just be sort of seen as great sort of we do well type things, although most of them just look like total pansies.
So I'm going to stick with the bad news first, and then I've got some nice bits and pieces coming. I feel safe to talk about Madeleine McCann here in the family guest area.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because I know that even if some of you disagree with me, you're not going to troll me. Because last week, I will still be brave enough to do it on the main, not so much on the main channel, but on Instagram and stuff. Because I'm not going to be shut up by nasty people.
Can I just ask again, why does it bring out the
such
nastiest
rage?
Things?
But I know in the family guest area, even if you disagree with me, you're not going to be nasty, which is why I love this.
Yeah, civilised.
So this German prosecutor, I have to say, when he kept standing up last week and saying this child is dead. Yes. Which I just thought was just so awful, just the way that he was saying it. Then I put that down to the language difference and all of that. And he said, yes, we haven't got a body, but this child is dead. We have really good evidence. And this guy did it. Okay, and I thought, well, I didn't think you could ever say somebody was dead categorically unless you have
And
the
a body.
body.
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
So now it turns out, you won't believe this, he said, oh, well, that was just my opinion. I think there is a little bit of hope she might be found. Imagine what that is like for the parents, right? He said that the case against the prime suspect, Christian Bruckner, is 90% there, and he considers him as the only suspect, but you're not going to believe this. But he has not yet spoken to him, who is in jail for Is this
the same detective?
This is the guy, the
Right.
chief prosecutor.
I hate to say it, but I'm now going to start to lean towards our Maddie's theory that there's actually, what seems to be beginning to happen is there's no new news.
But there's a real game being played here.
There is.
And somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody, because I just came in in the middle of it, but he was a very smart chap, and he was saying all these different police forces have stopped mucking about, pretending they've got information that they're not going to share with the other one. This is a child that had the most horrific of crimes committed against her. Forget what you think about the parents. A small child this was done to. I just think, just get it sorted out. And don't...
Well, and again, unfortunately, because there's such hostility to the McCanns, it's like if every time there's a press bubble around the Madeleine McCann story and then nothing happens with it, it generates more fury towards the parents.
But also, how awful for the McCanns, who are constantly trying to keep in people's psyche to look out for her, because obviously they still believe she's alive. I sadly don't believe there's any way she can be. But so they'll be thinking now all new kinds of horror. Oh, well, nobody's going to look for her anymore. Nobody's going to keep her in their head, because they're all going to think she's dead.
And a curious headline, I was kind of surprised by this. Lockdown makes a third of women more lonely. Significantly more women than men have problems with their mental health as a result of the pandemic. And I wondered whether, you know, it's often known we're about to enter Male Health Awareness Week. I'm about to do something for November, the November charity. And maybe that's because men, the conditions of lockdown are no different to the conditions that men find themselves in socially, if you know what I mean. If you think of my situation, it's like, okay, it was business as usual socially in terms of reaching out to men and what have you. And I just think perhaps where the reason it makes a third of women more lonely is that women will feel much more keenly the lack of that social network or that social reach.
And don't forget, we are, I mean, I am with my female friends very, very cuddly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I cuddle, I hug, we cry, and I miss that. I really do miss that close up.
Well, the numbers are quite stark. So the rise in underlying mental health problems between both genders is among men, it's risen from 7% of men before the pandemic to 18%. So that's nearly 1 in 5. Wow. But for women, it's risen from 11 to 27%.
Good God.
And I wonder whether part of that is also, I heard you sort of talking lightheartedly about it on Loose Women, but the idea that women are having a tougher time because they're the homemakers, everyone's at home, so they've got the huge burden of responsibility.
Well, they've had to give up their jobs, and they've had to go back to the 50s where they're doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, homeschooling. It is like going back into the art. But I do think also a lot of people distract from the unhappiness in their relationships with their friends. Their friends will get them through it, and to actually be locked in. I mean, like somebody on our live the other day said, I've been 17 years lonely in my marriage.
Wow. Yeah.
You know.
And just another quickie on Corona from my side is, I love this new phrase called cuddle bubbles.
I know, it's
cuddle bubbles, and of course the papers are littered with images.
And the pictures were everywhere on the news.
I
know, weren't they?
I know. And there's a lovely one. I'll pop it up of me and Nan hugging, and she looks like she's crying, but actually she's saying, "Where's my Cheetos?"
Oh, it was so sweet because Nanny Di came in and Kiki sort of moved around her like this, and I said, "Were you going to cuddle her?" She goes, "Oh, can I hug her?"
It's so
heartbreaking.
Lots of people commented on my photo on my Instagram saying, "Oh, Kiki's asking if she could." It was so sweet.
It was so sweet because I happened to be live on Instagram when she came in, and so lots of people saw that. Right, okay, bear with me. Mark is going to just click out and get bored and not listen to me. But this is a real incoming problem.
What is it?
With our food. Okay.
Yeah.
So because of all the deals that are now being cut with America, we are going to get in a lot of really, really bad food.
So we should grow more of our own.
There are 70 chemicals used in American farming that are banned here.
Wow.
Banned here because they're carcinogenic, various different reasons. Some of them affect fertility, fact, known, it's been proven. And also the other, and of course they'll be able to sell these very cheaply. So people in the farming industry here are really worried that they're going to have to start lowering their standards to be able to compete. So all those poor farmers that thought they were going to be better off when we came out of the EU are now going to be competing with very poor standard, cheap American food.
Here's the other thing about American food, and I'm a huge American-ophile. You know, I love their sort of supermarkets. Are these the kind of chemicals that make American fruit and veg look ginormous, very colourful, and infinitely more desirable than our sort of strangely shaped turnips?
Okay, this is one for you, Mark, and it's somebody that's very important in this household. It's Joe Wicks, and this was his desert island dish, and it's actually really sad. Doesn't he look like his mum? Look.
My God, doesn't he?
God, he's a good-looking chap, isn't he? Yeah, really sad. He talks about how his father was a heroin addict, and how he didn't hate his father, but he hated the drugs and the relapses.
I thought it was just cannabis. And
that his mother had mental health issues, one of which was extreme OCD, and he talks about how difficult it was. Like, he would have to hoover his room over and over again. He had this black carpet. If there was one speck, she would go like nuts, and he would have to hoover it with just like the thin pipe because she wanted clear lines up and down. But what he says is he really loves his parents. He's made his peace with them, and he is what he is because he had to work against his childhood.
It's funny.
So again, you know, this guy, and he also said that he will never do anything more meaningful in his life than PE with Joe. And lockdown makes me emotional again. Sorry, I've got my COVID-19 emotion up.
That's okay, sweetie.
I think that's such a lovely story.
I think it reminds you as well that whatever your story is, you know, we can all regret and wish things were different and everything, but more often than not, the thing that drives you to success or to overcome things are the very things that were the kind of, you know, shadows in your life.
What doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I actually do love that phrase, actually. That's going to be my one for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Doesn't kill us.
This is a curious one. I don't know why I was drawn to it, but I was. You know, Wuhan is the centre of everything. Everyone knows about Wuhan. And, you know, because apparently Wuhan is also one of the central hubs for fentanyl labs.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I never knew about this drug until we watched Euphoria. I had never heard of it.
Well, fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin, as if we needed anything on the planet 50 times stronger than heroin.
The tiniest speck of it could kill you.
Yeah, and
or give you the best time of your life for about 2 minutes, and then you need to buy it again.
Sure, and China was one of the main suppliers of the United States of America. Wuhan is not a place I really want to go for a weekend break.
Wuhan sounds like hell on earth.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like
a weekend break.
Well, you couldn't, because you'd have to be in quarantine for a fortnight, so you couldn't do a weekend break.
Oh yeah, because you have to go into quarantine when you go into China.
Yeah.
In case you bring in
something in, but it's all right for them to pump opiates.
I hate the Chinese government.
Anyway, but here's the thing.
Not the Chinese government.
But what has been shuttered down are the Wuhan fentanyl labs at the moment because of lockdown and various issues out there. But it's leaving the field clear.
So these legal fentanyl.
Yeah, and it's being slipped out.
Is it used as a pharmaceutical drug as well?
I think it is over there. Yeah, absolutely. But it's leaving the field clear for Russia to fill the gap. So Russia is now going to become the world's leading fentanyl supplier. So
while our restaurants, bars, coffee shops are all still closed in France, people are told to just keep 1 metre apart. I didn't realise that in France.
Oh, right.
All the cafes, restaurants and bars, everything is open, but people sit outside and it's absolutely buzzing. But she actually said to me, people aren't keeping 1 metre apart. In Germany, Angela Merkel has extended they do 1.5 metres until June 29th, but all the shops and everything open. This gives us hope. This gives us hope when we see this going on in other countries. Yeah, so I thought a little bit of good news.
That is good news, yeah. I thought this would make you laugh. A Star Wars action figure valued at £80 and bought for a tenner back in the 1980s has just sold for £6,500.
No!
Yeah.
Have you got one of those?
No, I haven't got, no, because I didn't buy it in 1980. But my point is that the figures that you buy now, do you remember we had, again, another programme I did was the Antiques of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I think,
that was such a good idea.
Yeah, if you can find those things, you know, for example...
You should do that on YouTube.
I didn't realise that the VHS cassette player, who would have thought those ugly beasts,
all those things that we threw out, gave to the charity shops.
Yeah, but they've become worth a fortune. So that's £6,500, but that's by far not the highest that you can get. The
family guests might not know that. Tell them about the price that some of those Disney VHSs
Oh yeah, no, I didn't see the story. You did, I don't know.
Thousands of pounds. If you've got old Disney VHSs, check them out. You might be about to make a lot of money.
So I would say if you've got old DVDs and VHSs, shove them in your loft if you've got them.
So, the Great British Bake Off is going to come back, which is really good news.
Oh, good.
And I'm really, really excited that the new presenter is Matt Lucas, because I think he's really funny. Now, the entire Bake Off crew have to isolate for 6 weeks to film the new series because they couldn't get insurance for Prue Leaf.
Right, puntastic. Haven't had a good puntastic headline in ages. First of all, imagine being Kate Moss's sister. I'd have thought quite a difficult hand.
Thing, isn't she?
She is pretty. Lottie's Lost and Found. Playing on Lost and Found. While snogging some bloke in a nightclub in LA, her purse and her passport was stolen and she had to go into lockdown with her sister Kate. But yeah, it was as she was snogging a fella. So thus Lottie's Lust and Found.
Lust and
I like that. I like that. I think that's a good one. Another puntastic headline, Look into my fries.
Oh, that's good.
Woman hypnotised out of eating Big Macs constantly. So she lost 13 stone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a nurse who lived on McDonald's has lost half her body weight after being hypnotised.
Did it say who the hypnotist was?
Look into my fries.
I think you should consider hypnotherapy.
For what?
For food.
Oh.
For raisins.
For raisins. Yeah, I could do that. Should we do that on the? We could do it on the channel.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah.
This gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous baby. Just look at him. Emmanuel, our tiny COVID miracle. So this little boy was born 3 months premature and he's had a 37-day fight with COVID.
Jesus.
And now he's okay. They were told
Wow.
3 times to prepare for the worst.
Wow.
Isn't that just
That is
so
amazing.
beautiful?
What a sweetie.
Because we're made to think that anyone with any kind of weakness at all is going to immediately be
It's such a weird disease.
So imagine 3 months premature and how tiny his lungs would have been.
Final story from me was you were talking about bread bins yesterday, weren't you? And apparently there's this bread bin, and the reason I've pulled this story is every single newspaper's run with it. It's quite funny. Beware bread bin or you're toast. Well, the story is that this bread bin, which is sold on Amazon, comes with such a dramatic safety instructions beware message that it's not a toy, it could kill, it's for indoor use only.
Because you put your head in it.
Make sure you pull the shutter down once you've finished using it. So it's becoming nicknamed the dead bin. Well, that's what I'm calling it. No one's actually used that.
But I've already gone to the little child in myself and thought, you could play cutting your heads off. Put your head in there and I'll slam it down.
One customer said, I think it's a bit over the top. I thought that was funny. Anyway, there you go.
We found you some nice bits.
Come here, you.
Why?
I love you, and you get very moved by things, and it's very sweet. And I just love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. Get your hand off that.
I'd be lying if I said I feel any better. I really would be like exaggerating, lying, fabricating.
Really nice. I've done all my best moves.
Yeah, but you've hurt me.
Oh.
Tell us about the pudding this week.
So the pudding, it's so naughty. It's so naughty. I made it up as we went along, actually, didn't we? I was sort of experimenting with it, and it turned out beautifully. So it's a brioche pudding made with a homemade custard, with lemon curd and blueberries, and it's like a really fancy breakfast. So we'll have it probably this morning because it's NADIA's birthday. But it could also be a pudding. Now, I was experimenting with it and it was lovely, but what I would say is I made it again and it worked better with just egg yolks. So don't use the whole egg. I was trying the Delia way and I didn't like it, I preferred my own way. Okay. So 4 egg yolks. 4. Not the whole egg.
4. 4.
What's happening in your empire today?
Oh my God, I love this episode because it's about breakfast and I love breakfast. I don't eat breakfast, but I love breakfast. But I think sometimes, and I think we should get back into this, we used to do it years ago when the kids were little, when we'd have a big breakfast Sunday morning breakfast.
Yeah.
And now we can have my parents over into the garden. We could sometimes have a big Sunday breakfast outside in the garden. How lovely.
Yeah.
So this is an extra special breakfast pudding, but of course it could be used as an afternoon pudding or an after dinner pudding or anything, but it's kind of breakfasty because it's got blueberries, it's got eggs, and it's got bread. It's the sort of thing that in America they wouldn't even think twice about having for breakfast. They do not
I love American
worry
breakfast.
about what they have for breakfast. I've got a lovely brioche loaf. This is 400 grams.
Ooh, Tesco's finest.
You could use brioche buns, or you could use croissants, but I think it's nice with brioche because as long as you leave it to stand in the custard, it fluffs up beautifully. Oh, I mean, excuse me, the pleasure of doing that, undressing a brioche.
Just like taking your bra off.
Mark! Oh my God. That is joyful. And do you know what, guys? I won't have one bit of this pudding because if I do, I'll have to have all of it. So cut it into even slices.
Why are you doing that like a Marks and Spencer's advert?
Because I thought you'd like it for filming.
I do.
I'm going to go quiet and I'm going to let you just watch it.
So unlike you to go slow.
I know, but I'm doing it because I know what you like now.
Look at them all lined up.
Gorgeous, huh?
Oh.
So soft, so sumptuous. If you've never had brioche before,
Get it
have
now.
it. It's so good. I'm just going to brush my brioche with a little butter. Now brioche has a high amount of butter in it anyway. And the reason I'm using melted butter rather than just butter from the butter dish is I just want a really thin bit of butter. I mean, you could miss this stage out and not put extra butter on.
That feels like it would be churlish though.
Oh my God, the smell. The smell. Yeah, don't be tempted to dip your bread in your melted butter.
Oh, what would that mean?
Well, because you don't want to soak up, you'd soak up the whole lot. I've only got about a tablespoon of butter in there. Oh, have I actually said what I'm making?
No,
Oh, I haven't.
I don't know what you're making.
It's lemony, blueberry, brioche pudding with lemon curd, and it's going to have a crumble on the top as well.
Oh my.
It's truly,
Right.
truly decadent. Beautiful lemon curd. Can take anyone on a trip down memory lane. I want to one day do on the show. I want to make things like this. I think we could make some preserves, and it doesn't always have to be a full recipe, does it? Oh, look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
Great thing.
So just a little bit. You don't want it super sweet and super thick. It's just so that we get the lemon curd and the butteriness.
Trust you to come out of that point, Toss. Hey, bit of lemon curd. Oh, hello.
Now I'm going to lay them all round in a circle. Okay. Circling it round to get a pretty look. Oh, how lovely does that look already? Pretty. Goes in. This is where I always go a bit. My brain goes. Now we're going to make our extremely decadent custard. So, 600 mils of full fat milk. 200 mils of double cream. La 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 la. I did say it was for a very special breakfast. Now I've put lemon curd on the bread. The bread is sweet. I'm going to put blueberries in. So you can kind of choose the sugar that you want, how much sugar you want. You could make it very sweet. At 100 grams of sugar, that would be really sweet. I'm going to put 60 grams in. So you could put between 60 and 100, depending on what you fancy.
How do you know an egg is large?
I know, it's difficult. But you know when an egg is small, that's what I would say.
Oh.
I know, because I always buy large eggs. These do look a little small. I'm tempted to put another one in, but there we go, we'll see. And if you're not sure whether your eggs are big enough, maybe add an extra yolk. Teaspoon of vanilla extract.
What would cooks do without that?
I don't know what I would do. I think it's, I'm just going to get a lemon, wait there.
Getting a lemon. Let go of me.
I think...
In a minute you're going to tell us not to take the pith.
Got to, because just in case this is the first time somebody's watching, because if they use the pith, they will ruin the custard. So only to there.
God, so lemon
Don't go
custard.
further.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh my God, lemony custard.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to the birds.
Let's listen. There's our lovely people watching the garden live. Do you remember on our honeymoon we used to drink lots of limoncello?
Oh, do you remember when we made it, when we were doing Eating in the Sun?
Yeah.
Got really pissed on that roof, do you remember?
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Felt so rubbish the next day. I had to film all day in the sun. Big mistake.
God, that's how long I haven't been drinking. I wasn't drinking then. I like this dish.
Do you?
It's nice to film.
Yeah.
You're great.
Sort of nice thing. Thank you,
Could I
darling.
just say, I haven't had a chance to say in all the 23 episodes that we've shot, that the food you're delivering is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It looks
That's
beautiful.
nice.
I know I get a bit taskmastery on the shots. It's only because it's a very different way of filming to filming on a camera.
On the phone.
On the phone, rather. So, you
Yeah.
know, I'm wanting to get those gloriously icky,
But you do.
sticky...
Can I say that you make them look so beautiful?
Yeah, should we just go and get a ring?
Okay. So, we have our custard. We have our beautifully buttered and lemon-curded bread.
Oh.
What's great in the morning? Blueberries. Now, you could, of course, use raspberries, but I'd add a bit more sugar.
Bits in your teeth.
Because raspberries and lemon go very well.
Do they?
Strangely, yeah.
they?
Because they're sharp, aren't they? But
Says who?
just says people that know about
In the
food.
book about lemons. God,
So
I'm
this
in
is a
such
whole
a different
punnet.
mood today, aren't I?
I know.
Sort of vaguely irritating
Fine.
in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never sort of in the middle, sorry.
No. So this is a whole punnet, but I'm being very decadent
So
because
that's
we
about
want...
150 grams.
No.
200.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave a few to put on the top. What do we think of that? Oh, isn't it beautiful already?
It really
One
is.
almost doesn't want to put the custard on.
No, that seems like a travesty and a...
I want a little more vanilla.
Oh, do
You know
you?
why? Because I haven't got my usual vanilla, and this isn't strong enough.
Say it. I like it when you say things like that, suddenly.
Why?
I want a little bit more vanilla.
I want a little bit more vanilla.
Oh, Christ. That is
Not
good.
vanilla-y enough, because my usual stuff is not available. Every time I go and get it, every time I try and get it, I can't get it. So, next bit, I'm going to pour the custard over the top.
No.
Okay?
Yeah. And go...
And if you're thinking, oh, that's really watery, remember we've got the eggs in there, which will set it. It's a baked custard. Okay. So next, if you just...
Sprinkle some cheese.
No. Just
Oh, squish it in.
squish it in, and then what you do is if you want that really nice fluffy kind of pudding, it's really important to just let this soak for half an hour now.
That looks like so much fun.
Oh, this is so much fun. Okay, so that now will sit for half an hour
Oh, before you put it anywhere.
before I put it in the oven. Yeah, and then I've got a really good little tip for another good tip. So we're just going to put that to one side, and I'm just going to clear up, and then we're going to make the little crumble. So you can
Ooh.
come back in a minute.
Okay.
So this next,
That's a funny sound.
I was trying not to say so. This next stage, you don't have to do. You can just take the brioche pudding up to that, but this is a little bit of an extra. So I'm just going to make a teeny crumble to put on the top. You could make this a cinnamon crumble. Just wondering, would that work with the lemon curd and the vanilla? Would you like lemon curd and cinnamon?
Yeah, I think cinnamon goes with everything.
Because cinnamon goes really well with blueberry, and it's a very good breakfast spice, and the kids love it. I'm going to add some cinnamon. We'll see. If when we taste it we don't like it, we'll tell you. So we've got 100 grams of plain flour, 60 grams of cold butter, goes in, and a tablespoon of demerara sugar. If you haven't got demerara sugar, don't worry, it doesn't matter. See how fresh it is? About a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, pinch of salt. Using your fingertips, just make a crumble. And weeks ago I made a crumble I gave you that lovely tip, and I'm going to give it to you again now, is make your crumble.
Add a little bit of water.
Pop it in the freezer. Because then what happens is the butter gets really nice and cold, and you don't get that just like splodges of melted butter. Okay, so there we go. That's the crumble done. How easy is that? And then that will just go in the freezer now until the bread's soaked.
Okay. Do you want to go off shot to the no freezer?
I'm going to go off to the no freezer because my freezer's too full. Oh, actually.
What?
I've got another tip.
Oh,
sorry.
did you have to get it back out the freezer?
No, I just thought. Another thing, you remember this from my...
I said this.
What?
I said you need to add a splash of water.
Did you?
Yes.
You remembered it from last time?
Yeah.
Splash of water. Ooh, ooh.
Just to make it solidify a bit more.
Helps, look, you get the crumble look.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, well done. You're learning. I wonder what you could make from all the things that you have learned how to cook, surely, through all of this.
Good.
So our brioche has been soaking. We might have cheated it a little bit because we wanted to get on and get it in the oven. There it is. Oh, look. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So while that was soaking, we had the crumble in the freezer. Oh, see that? It's all crunchy and frozen now. Yum, yum. So I'm just going to sprinkle. Oh, smell the cinnamon, the vanilla, the lemon. I wonder if this is too much crumble. What do you think?
No, you can never have too much crumble.
Do you think?
You're saying like you can have too much fun.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh, I'm excited about this recipe. You've been here with me while I've created this recipe, guys.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a little extra sprinkle of sugar. As I said, this is a very, very special. This is what Nanny...
This is for breakfast?
This is what Nanny Di is going to have for her breakfast.
Oh.
Birthday breakfast.
Do you like lemon curd?
No, she probably won't eat any of it, actually. So now I'm going to put it into this bath and make a bain-marie. A bain-marie. Up to about half of where your dish is. And cooking the pudding, and I really, really do recommend this, whatever you do, whether you're doing just a normal bread and butter pudding, because what this, just got to get this, because what this does is it ensures that the bread stays really nice and soft. Because if you think about it, we've got all that steam going round the dish, keeping it lovely and soft. So that's honestly a great tip. Anytime you're making a bread and butter pudding, take the time. It's not that much of a bother, is it? Make sure there's no kids or dogs around you as you go over to the oven now. And that's 180 degrees. And I'm going to have a look at it. Oh God, hang on. 180 degrees, and I'm going to have a look at it in half an hour. I might cook it for another 10 minutes, but I'm going to have a look at it in half an hour. So I set the timer. Bye bye, beautiful new pudding. I think I love you.
Do a lemon curd dance to celebrate.
Oh,
Ooh. Ooh. That was quite something. That's very lemon curd, though.
Very lemon curd. That's your lot. Pudding is ready. I'm really excited about this. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, I need another. It's too big.
Sorry, guys.
I'll be ready in a minute. We've actually had to come out of a live. Everybody's still there because the pudding was ready.
Well, I think half the people watching this are there. You're probably in the same place at the same... Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Ah! Oh, because I didn't want to leave it in there because it's almost puffed up now. See how beautiful that is. Now, when it cools down, it will drop down a bit. But at the moment, that's beautiful and puppy. See how the custard is all set? Absolutely exquisite. So we'll just let it cool down a bit. We'll finish our live over there, and then we'll come back and taste it.
Great. Sorry about that, guys. All done?
Oh my God, it looks so good.
Hey.
So give a quick flash.
Go on then.
Just a quick flash.
Oh.
Listen. Okay, ready? Let's just have it straight from the pot. A bit of cream. We love eating things straight from the pot, don't we?
Mm.
Oh my God, look at that. Oh, look. Jelly and soft, that's what you want. Mmm.
Good?
Mmm. So good.
Oh.
Mmm. So in the end, that had a good 40 minutes.
Mm.
So 40 minutes at 180 degrees. Do you want some?
Where are we off to now?
Oh, we're off to the memes now.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're off to the book review.
Yeah, and who's doing it?
Nanny Di.
Yeah, why Nanny Di? I've fallen out of the sink.
Want some?
So guys, it's book of the week time, and I have been so stupidly busy this week that I just literally haven't had time to finish the book. So I will be doing next week's book of the week. But in the meantime, stepping into the breach, bridging the gap, filling the void is...
Nanny Di!
This strange little lady who's in my room.
Yes.
So shall I turn the camera around and ask you some questions?
Yes.
Are you reading your notes?
I've got my notes, I've got my book. This is by Anne Tyler.
Ooh.
And it's called The Amateur Marriage. It's set World War II, right at the beginning of World War II. And it's about, the reason it's called an amateur marriage is that it takes us through the lives of a couple that get married right at the beginning of the war. And it's a sort of tale in a way
It's a bit like Nan and Dad.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think how to sell it to you because they... I was going to say they're both deeply in love, but they're not. They're sort of like people are when they're young. They're sort of fascinated with each other. They fancy each other. They're very different to each other because the thing about Baltimore in those days was that it was very firmly ethnically divided, and that there were a big Polish population and a big other populations. And the reason that's important is it's where people went to church. They went to different churches. And in a way, that was not as rigid as the Middle East now, but they were firm divisions. So you didn't tend to stray out of your division. And he's firmly in his, Michael his name is, and he's a very sort of good-looking, nice, well-mannered, holds things in slightly, reserved, and then one day he meets this girl who's sort of running down the street, and she's so hasty to get to the march where all the boys are going off to war, going to sign up to go off to war, that she jumps off the streetcar and sort of cuts her face and comes zooming into the shop where he lives with his parents, and they mend her face. And she's got a red coat on. For some reason, Anne Tyler's got a thing about red, because I think her last novel was called The Girl in the Red Coat. Oh, right. Something must have happened to her with red. Okay. And anyway, this girl is so lively, and she's so sort of everything that Michael isn't. Yes. And somehow, he wasn't even thinking of going to war, because he's got various things wrong with him, I think asthma or whatever he had to have. But she so assumes that he is. That he goes and signs up. Oh, no. He lives with his mother, who is a bit horrified at what's going on. And anyway, the next thing you know is he goes off to war. Now, in that sense, it's a strange beginning, because you could say they were meant for each other, but in a way, they literally fell into each other's arms. And then she waits for him to. He's immediately. What's the word that what's named out of the army when you've hurt yourself or something? What do they say the word is?
Absent without leave?
No. He's something commissioned out of the army because he gets wounded, because he gets shot in the backside by his friend, by a member of his own sign. Exactly, and it's probably because they had an argument, because he is a bit of he's one of these sticks to his arguments and won't move, which we discover as the book goes on. So he's then sort of sent home. So he sort of comes home with none of the glory, and a wooden leg and a stiff leg. Oh no! And then basically it sort of gets going in terms of the story, and it's a story of their lives. They have children.
So is it from when they met to when they die?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it is. But not told with any sort of sense of tragedy or anything, just told as it is.
Ordinarily.
Yeah. Pauline is impulsive, impractical, tumbles through life literally. Michael is plodding, cautious, judgmental, proceeds at a much slower pace. That's important because as things go on. Yeah, she calls it the amateur marriage because all the way through the book, as they look at other couples, they sort of think, everybody else is doing this better than us.
That's nice.
And actually, they're not, of course, because
No,
that doesn't exist. But that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And then the sort of, it goes on going, so it's a mismatched marriage in that sense. What she manages to do in this is really cutting through to the end, which I know I do a lot, is that two people who don't really like each other very much, when it all boils down to it, she makes us like them both.
Right.
Which in itself is pretty good, isn't it? She's not a fancy writer at all. She's quite simple, but she really sort of, she's very characterful. She makes you interested in the characters. She's generous with them. And as I say, even if they're being unpleasant to each other, you sort of want to know what's happening to them.
They sound very much like, the characters sound very much like your mum and dad.
Yeah, they are.
He was ploddy.
They are.
If Dad had got an injury, your dad, my granddad, but if he'd got an injury, I'd imagine he'd have got shot in the bum by a friend.
Yeah, and he wasn't a brave bunny, was he? And this bloke isn't either. No, that's very true.
Parallels there.
There are, and she's like Mum was, you know, like all go, 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 let's go, 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 and sort of.
And they were both also very likeable in very different ways.
Exactly, that's very true. So maybe that's why it appealed to me so much. And their world is destabilised. It's just a story of the marriage and the children growing up and whatever, but then it's thrown apart. Either the oldest or the youngest child just suddenly goes off one day. She said, actually, this is my story. This is the story of me.
Hang on a minute, this is a description of your entire life.
She just suddenly goes off, Lindy, her name is, and she doesn't come back. And because they don't know what's happened to her, they sort of carry on trying to live without her, but without knowing. And then what she does is, sometimes Untitled is criticised for giving us chapters almost like short stories, one after the other, which is also what Elizabeth Strout, who was the woman I talked about last week, is accused of doing. But in a way, it all melds together in the end. And she sort of fast forwards us a bit. And then somebody said, and I think this is a really good line, she's good at telling us what happens when we're not looking in life, in between the actual big events. And that's a good way to describe her.
So how does it leave you feel? I mean, as you describe it, you may as well have described what's happened in your life.
It's very similar. Mismatched sort of parents, a very rebellious, three children, which there was in my family. Very rebellious daughter who sort of walks out the door one day, which I suppose
as
was
a child, and it's away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's obviously why I was drawn to it. Only I was sort of started off...
So why was it a hard sell? You've sold it very well.
Oh, OK. I just thought people might not want to go back as far as the war, but the war doesn't really play any part in it.
No, I mean,
it's just when they met.
It's an era in which they met, and I think a good starting point for then dealing with all the madness of San Francisco and hippiness.
Yeah, exactly. Ah. It's a nice feeling, because although it takes you through their whole lives, and so one might think, oh, well, you know, that's too much information. Because of her generosity of giving you the characters, because you like them, because you're interested in them.
Yeah.
I mean, really, once I started it, I more or less read it in 2 sittings because I wanted to know what happened to them.
Okay.
So I can really recommend
character.
it. Yeah, for page turning, wanting to know. Yeah. And anything by Anne Tyler, guys, that you come across, all her books are like that. She's interested in character.
It's Teddy Talks. I have to say, I found last week's one of the best he's done. It made me think about the meaning of life. It made me think about the meaning of being a human. It made me think about shooting off, not shooting off, and giving ourselves more time. So what on earth is he going to be talking about today?
Time to find out.
Action.
We have Betty and Teddy in the garden, which could only mean one thing. It's time for tea, brioche pudding, and Teddy Talks. First of all, how was the pudding?
Oh, was lovely.
Was that the pudding from the show?
Yeah, that's the one we made.
Yeah, it was lovely. And the coffee's lovely. What are we going to talk about today?
What are we going to talk about today?
Gardens. Fascinating what you were saying a minute ago, that people are beginning to think about removing themselves from cities
Yeah.
Go to the countryside. They don't want to be caught again.
Yeah.
In this thing, yeah. I once asked an old guru, what is it that a man needs to be contented in life? And he said, what you need, either 2 gardens or 2 wives. I said, what's the third option? He said, you could have 3 gardens and 1 wife. And that's what I've got. In my life, I've got 3 gardens. Or since the confinement, you know, 3 gardens have helped me. One really is a public garden about half a mile away from here. And I go there to heal my body. Walk around spaces, look at people and animals, spend a couple of hours, and I feel physically exercised and excused from when the nurse asks me next, oh doctor, are you exercising? Yeah. Daily. And then, so I call this the healing of the body. Then I have another garden, which is my own, right next to yours. And that is for mending the mind, really. Because I walk around, pick up things, cut things, probably the wrong things I cut.
Awkward.
Definitely.
Awkward.
You know, and if you have any ideas knocking around in your head, you want to study them. So this is the second garden for me. It's for mending the mind. And it's very, very essential every day. And that's probably, I feel very sad for the people who haven't got enough space, you know, to wander around at this time. And then the third one is the tricky one, the third garden. It's an Andalusian garden. It exists on the banks of Wadi al-Kabir in Cordoba. I saw it 1,000 years ago in Andalusia, southern Spain. These gardens were magical, absolutely magical. And it's my garden for really lifting my spirit, keeping my imagination alive. And I often wonder in that garden in Cordoba, there are poets, there are musicians, there are Muslims, Christians, Jews, all religions. For about 200 years, people use these gardens and produce some of the most beautiful music and some of the most beautiful poetry and some of the most beautiful human communications. These gardens normally came to life around about 10 in the evening, and they were shut down about 3 in the morning. And that's what I love about them, you know. And a beautiful English garden is wonderful during the day, all day. But at night, you have to go to Andalusia.
And do you literally conjure that up in your imagination?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see it. I read a lot about it. I read, you know, a lot of the writers. I listen to a lot of the music. Sometimes, you know, in the garden, I feel that I would like my garden tonight to be an Andalusian garden. And I see the big gates open and the friends and the neighbors just walking in. And then someone like beautiful Maddie standing up and singing for us, you know. And that, you know, we eat, we drink, and the evenings, of course, you know, imagine what they would be like.
I don't want to be there now. I'm transported.
Yeah. So this is the wife, and these are and these are the
Do you
three.
ever take her with you to the Andalusian garden?
The 3 gardens. Well, I can't force anybody. They either go or they don't.
Nanny Dice said she didn't feel I was in the show enough last week.
He just
and I don't know what to do this week because I'm not reviewing the book. I don't know what to do with this last piece because my mum says I wasn't in it much last week. I went, oh my God, you're turning into one of those male presenters. I didn't mean it like that. It's really funny when they go, my mum says I'm not in it as much. Did they say their mum? I don't think anyone says that. No, anyway, my mum said I wasn't in it last week and I'm not in it this week that much either.
I'll tell you what, do a nice dance or something.
No, I don't.
Come on. Okay, do something silly with your face now. Yeah. Come on, do it again.
Yeah. That was another, they have another show.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yeah.
When there'll be a little bit more of me.
Sing us out.
It's the Sunday show and it's done.
Drunk, more drunk.
The Sunday show's finished and it's done.